I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Okay, this is a video response to Empty Without Jesus. I made a video response to you yesterday about one single point. This time I'm going to address a whole video of yours. I'm not picking on you. It's not that kind of thing. I'm not trolling or anything like that. It's just usually when I stumble across a YouTube user of any opinion that I haven't seen before, I try to watch as much of their material as I can. And so while watching your videos, when I was going to make yesterday's video, I came across this one, and I sort of chalked it up as, someday when I have the time, I'll make a response to that. And it turns out it seemed like today's the day. It's as good enough as any. So I'm going to go through. I took a bunch of notes. I rewatched your video and I made notes. And this one is this video that I'm responding to is called More of Darwin's Theory Exposed. I'll put a link up for the rest of you in the sidebar so you can watch this video in its entirety. Again, I'm going to urge you, Empty Without Jesus. You seem like a nice guy, and I have no doubt in my mind that you're a nice guy who sincerely believes what you're saying and is doing what you're doing for the noblest of reasons. Okay, I want to make that really, really clear. I'm not attacking your character. I'm not attacking your personality. If I sound like I am, it's my wording. It's not my intention. So please take that to heart. I am going to go after the statements you make, and I want to say this again. I said it yesterday in this video. Please, please, please look beyond the sources that you're using. Really try to, because you got to understand, when you're repeating stuff that is wrong, I mean, it's just simply incorrect. And I know you believe it's correct, but your belief in its correctness doesn't make it correct, okay? And it has nothing to do with whether evolution's true or creation's true, okay? I believe evolution's true, 100%. I have faith, if you want to call it that. It's not really faith, but I believe it's true. But that doesn't mean that I therefore believe all evidence for evolution is true, okay? Does that make sense? Likewise, you believe creation's true. Don't believe just because it supports your contention. You got to question everything, and so question some of this stuff. And I'm going to go through it in some detail. I did take notes, so I'm not just trying to wing it this time. I don't write with this. I don't make videos with a script. I am I got to keep track of my time. This is probably going to be several parts. I'm going to try to do it in 2, but it's unlikely I'll make it through that. I'm very wordy, if you are not familiar with my vids yet. Okay, so you're about exposing a false theory. This is your sort of grand entrance is that you are going to expose a false theory. Again, in order to expose something as false, you need to understand what it's about. You can't expose something as false that you are absolutely ignorant about, okay? If you're going to go after specifically Darwin's theory of natural selection, not the modern synthesis, you spend a lot of time on Darwin, going after Darwin's theory of natural selection, then you do need to read Darwin, or at the very least, an accurate summary of what Darwin said, okay? You can't, I'm going to go on, you'll see later on, it's very, very clear that you don't have a clue about what Darwin said, okay? All right. Okay, this is something that really concerned me in your video. You talked about Darwin didn't have a college or science degree, as if that's some kind of a coup on your part. You I don't know, exposed some secret flaw, something we've been kind of hiding all of these years. And I think it shows an ignorance about the history of science, the scientific method, and how science progresses. Okay, somebody's degree doesn't really mean a lot in science. It means a lot for job application. Okay, when I go for a job, I have my CV and I have to list my degree on there, my degrees on there. I have to list the topics of my degrees and usually a summary of what that is, what I studied, and that there's a lot of reasons why I support that. However, it doesn't mean that a degree is required to do science, okay? I want you to really, really be clear about this. All right. Darwin did not okay. Darwin. Okay, I'm going to say this out. It's been pointed out to you. I saw in some of your comments. First of all, 19th century, the whole system, the whole university system, was a lot different than it is now. Okay. It wasn't. It's changed. Okay. Wasn't the same way. Darwin did have a degree. He had a degree in theology. However, during that time period, while studying theology, he studied intently under the mentorship of several biologists, where his work was very, very scientific. Okay, and now this is where you make the claim. Okay, what is it you state about? And people say that you have no degree. So what right do you have, or something, whatever it is? I gotta ask: are you comparing yourself to Darwin? I mean, are you seriously comparing your level of education, your level of knowledge, to Darwin's, because both of you don't have an advanced science degree? I mean, that's what you're saying there, okay? And I don't mean to laugh, and I'm not trying to be mocking, but you got to understand, okay? Darwin was a product of a 19th century university system, okay? Whether or not the degree was in science. Darwin, as that product of that, spoke, read, and wrote fluent Latin and Greek, okay? He was familiar with, meaning he actually read and studied pretty much the sum body of scientific knowledge in all disciplines available, from mathematics to astronomy to biology, and literature, philosophy, religion, that was known at his time. There was a significant less then than there is now, but nonetheless, a college student at that time was expected to know those things. Okay, he also knew the history of science, the classics, the great philosophers that formed the theories. All of these things, these people were drilled in. I mean, I think the least of a college student then would smoke probably some PhDs today in their knowledge of that aspect of it. Maybe not, and obviously not in current knowledge, but in the fundamentals. These Darwin, it's very, very clear, and no disrespect, that you have not read. You've read summaries from creationists, and probably sounds like very few of those. Okay, and none of this original body of literature. Okay, Darwin read creationist arguments. He was raised with those arguments. He read counter arguments from naturalists at the time, and believe he was not the first atheist. Whatever. Okay, he came from a long, very noble scientific line of people who were materialists in that sense of the word. But nonetheless, he studied all of it. You were expected, kind of that, that, what was that, that Pirates of Penzance song about a major general, whatever, you were expected to know a huge amount of material to be an educated person in Darwin's day, okay? So think about that before you compare yourself to Darwin. And I want to mention, too, with Darwin, it doesn't matter what his degree is. Darwin, if you read Darwin's, even his study of earthworms, I mean, it's this volume written. I mean, it's what I think. It's following very, very strict scientific methodology as understood at his time. It's changed a little bit since his time, but nonetheless, by any standard, proposing hypothesis, designing an experiment, methodologies for testing the results of that experiment, and then a detailed description of the methods, and then conclusions, results, and then interpreting those results. Okay, that's what Darwin did. Okay, he did not make 10-minute videos of quote mines. Okay, he didn't, you see, whether or not he's a scientist. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to end this. Oh, I'm actually out of time. I don't have time to say this. I will take this up in part 2. So I'll see you in a bit.